The first thing I noticed when I walked into the open house wasn't the polished hardwood floors or the oversized windows overlooking the lake. It was the woman waiting near the entrance with a clipboard tucked under one arm, laughing softly with an elderly couple before they headed upstairs. Claire had been my realtor for only 3 weeks, yet somehow she already knew exactly how to calm my nerves every time another disappointing house failed to feel like home. She caught my eye, flashed the same reassuring smile that had become strangely familiar, and handed me a brochure. "Ready?" she asked. I nodded, though buying a house after my divorce still felt like trying to build a future on land that had barely stopped shaking. The home was beautiful in a quiet, comfortable way. Sunlight poured through tall windows, warming the oak floors. The kitchen opened into a spacious living room where a stone fireplace stood waiting for winter evenings. Children chased each other across the backyard while their parents discussed mortgage rates on the patio. The place buzzed with hopeful conversations, every room filled with people imagining new beginnings. Claire stayed beside me, pointing out details I would have missed on my own. "The roof was replaced last year," she whispered. "The furnace is practically new. And the owners have taken excellent care of the plumbing." I smiled. "You make pipes sound romantic." She laughed, nudging my shoulder. "Everything sounds romantic when you're trying to convince someone to buy a house." I thought honesty was part of the job. It is. Fortunately, this place doesn't require much exaggeration. We wandered upstairs, stepping into the primary bedroom where sunlight spilled across the floor. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I could almost picture waking there on quiet Saturday mornings with coffee in hand and nowhere urgent to be. The silence wasn't awkward. It was peaceful. As we turned back toward the hallway, another couple approached us. The man smiled warmly before extending his hand. "Beautiful place, isn't it? How long have you two been looking?" I answered automatically. "Just a few weeks." The woman glanced between Claire and me, then grinned. "Well, I hope you find exactly what you're looking for. You two make such a lovely married couple." Before I could explain, Claire looked at me with playful eyes, then back at them. A tiny smile curled across her lips. "Not yet." The words landed like a pebble in a still pond, sending invisible ripples through the room. The couple laughed, wished us luck, and continued down the hallway, completely unaware they had left me standing speechless. I stared at Claire. "Not yet?" She folded her arms, pretending to study the ceiling. "What?" It seemed easier than giving strangers our biographies. "I suppose." And she hesitated just long enough to let my curiosity grow. It wasn't the worst idea anyone's ever had. I blinked. "You realize," I said carefully, "that sounded dangerously close to flirting." She tilted her head. Maybe it was. For the first time since meeting her, I couldn't think of anything clever to say. We continued touring the house, but everything had changed. Every shared glance lingered a little longer. Every accidental brush of our hands seemed impossible to ignore. When we stepped into the backyard, the late afternoon breeze carried the scent of fresh-cut grass and blooming roses. Families chatted beneath the patio umbrella while children played tag across the lawn. Claire leaned against the wooden fence. "You know," she said quietly, "when we first met, you barely smiled." I had reasons. "I know. My ex kept the house." "I know that too. I wasn't sure I wanted another one." "I remember." I looked toward the peaceful neighborhood stretching beyond the backyard. "What changed?" she asked. I thought about it before answering. I stopped looking for the life I lost. And I started wondering about the one I could still build. She smiled, but this time there was no teasing behind it. "I'm glad." A comfortable silence settled between us. Finally, I turned toward her. "Earlier," I began. "The not yet?" "Yeah." "Were you joking?" She looked straight into my eyes without looking away. "Half joking." "And the other half?" "The other half wondered whether you'd ever ask me to dinner after all these house tours." I laughed, partly from relief and partly because I couldn't believe I'd missed every hint she'd dropped over the past 3 weeks. I thought dating your realtor was probably against some professional rule. It is. So? She reached into her folder and pulled out a document. Good news, she said. If you decide to make an offer today, most of my work is finished. I raised an eyebrow. And after the paperwork? She smiled again, warmer than before. After the paperwork, I'm just Claire. I looked back at the house one last time. Minutes earlier I had imagined it becoming my home. Now I pictured something more, a place filled with laughter that wasn't forced, conversations that lasted late into the night, and someone waiting beside me on the porch with 2 mugs of coffee. I think, I said, I'd like to make an offer. For the house? I smiled. For the house, and dinner with Claire. A faint blush colored her cheeks as she extended her hand, not as a realtor sealing a deal, but as a woman accepting a new beginning. She slipped her fingers into mine, squeezed gently, and laughed. I was hoping you'd finally catch up. Standing together in the golden evening light, surrounded by strangers chasing dreams of their own, the house suddenly felt less like a destination and more like the place where 2 unexpected futures quietly decided to meet.